Hello, everyone. There are places that seem so close. Close enough that people always think they can go someday, whenever they want. But then life becomes too full of worries and hardships. The days are consumed by the struggle to make a living, and they keep putting it off, again and again, until one day turns into the next. And that place remains nothing more than a quiet dream, never once truly reached. And there are also simple kinds of happiness. Something as small as a trip with the person you love. Yet even that can take so much effort to finally have. Today, I want to tell you the story of Ly Tu Tien and Jack. A journey that was not very far, but far enough to make up for all the years she had lost to a life filled with hardship. There was a time when Ly Tu Tien endured everything in silence. Times when all she could do was swallow her tears and tell herself to stay strong and keep going. And Jack, even though he was a successful man, always carried a heavy weight of pressure and responsibility on his shoulders. Life had never truly been easy for either of them. But it was through those difficult days that they learned how to stay beside each other, how to share the sadness, and how to walk together through the wounds life had left behind. After everything, Jack quietly prepared a special gift for Tu Tien. It was not something luxurious, just a trip to Hajang. He wanted her to rest for a few days, to forget, even for a little while, the months and years of living only with worry and exhaustion. He arranged everything on his own, quietly, without saying a word, without giving anything away. Then one morning, Jack gently called her outside and said, "Pack a few things, okay? Today I want to take you somewhere." Tu Tien looked at him in surprise. She did not understand what was happening. But the moment she saw the softness in his eyes, her heart began to melt. When she found out they were going to Hajang, Tu Tien went still, not because it was some faraway place, but because it had always seemed so close. From her home, it was only about 300 kilometers away, a distance that for many people would be just a short trip. But for Tu Tien, it was a place that had always felt within reach. And yet, through all those years, she had never once had the chance to set foot there. In that moment, she was so happy. But that happiness came with a quiet hesitation. Tu Tien did not dare show all of her joy, as if she was afraid that if she believed in it too quickly, it might disappear. Hajang is one of the most famous travel destinations in Vietnam, a place of majestic mountains, winding roads that cling to rocky plateaus, and rivers that have flowed through the valleys for millions of years. A land that is beautiful, raw, and unforgettable. The kind of place anyone would want to see at least once. And yet for Tu Tien, through all her hardest years, Hajang had remained only a beautiful name nearby, a place she always had to miss. That was what made her throat tighten, not because Jack was taking her somewhere extravagant, but because he was bringing her close to something simple, something ordinary, that had once felt impossibly far away in her life. The car began to move, leaving the familiar roads behind. Tu Tien sat quietly beside Jack, not because she was not happy, but because her heart was full of too many emotions. There was happiness, gratitude, and also a soft, shy confusion that only a woman in love might understand. She felt as though she was finally stepping out of those heavy days, reaching for a gentler sky. Hajang opened before them with its wide mountains, deep valleys, and peaceful skies. But what moved Tu Tien the most was not just the beauty of the landscape. It was the feeling that for the first time in so long, she could stop, breathe slowly, and live a little for herself. During those days there, Jack never tried to make the trip into something grand. He simply stayed quietly by her side, taking her to peaceful places, sharing simple meals, watching the mountains and the highland sky with her. Everything happened so gently. And it was that gentleness that made Tu Tien's heart slowly soften. She realized she had forgotten what peace felt like, forgotten what it was like to sit still without anxiety, forgotten what it was like to look at something beautiful without her mind being crowded by the worries of everyday life. There were moments when she simply stood beneath the wide open sky and felt her eyes begin to sting. Not because she was sad, but because someone who has lived too long in silent endurance, when suddenly touched by peace, will often be moved more deeply than anyone else. Her happiness was not loud, not the bright excitement of youthful adventures. It was quiet happiness, slow and gentle, sinking deep into her heart. And yet it was Jack's presence that slowly eased all the worry inside her. He did not say many beautiful words. He simply stayed beside her. Just one glance, one step slowed down so he could wait for her, was enough for Tu Tien to understand that this trip was not only a journey, it was also Jack's way of telling her that, after everything she had been through, she was still worthy of love. At one point, looking down over Hajang's vast valley, Tu Tien suddenly felt tears gathering in her eyes. She remembered all the years that had passed, the days when she had no choice but to force herself forward, the nights when she swallowed her tears because she did not want anyone to see her weakness. She used to think her life was nothing but rough roads, and that beautiful things were probably never meant for her. But standing there, beside Jack, she finally understood that it was not that life had never been gentle with her. It was just that sometimes people are too tired, too burdened, and too worn down. And so they miss the peaceful skies that were there all along. And Jack, as he watched Tu Tien standing quietly before that beautiful view, knew that this trip had finally become meaningful. He had never wanted to do anything grand. He only wanted the woman he loved to have one chance to feel light again, one chance to smile without having to hide the sadness behind it. And then on that high hill overlooking the valley, when both of their hearts were at their fullest, Jack softly said to her, "I just wanted you to have one moment of real happiness. After everything you've been through, you deserve beautiful things like this." Hearing that, Tu Tien could not hold back her tears any longer. But they were no longer tears of hurt or loneliness. They were the tears of someone who had endured for far too long. Until one day, a single gentle sentence was enough to make her whole heart tremble. She turned and wrapped her arms around Jack. In the vast sky and mountains of Hajang, there was no need for more words, because some emotions are simply too deep to ever be fully spoken. After everything, the trip eventually came to an end. But what stayed in the hearts of Ly Tu Tien and Jack was not only the beauty of Hajang, it was the rare peace they had found there together. After so many days of hardship, pressure, and nameless exhaustion, they had finally been given a little time that truly belonged to them. Maybe when they returned, they would still have to face the struggles of daily life, responsibility, and difficulties they could not yet even name. But after that journey, both of them understood that as long as they still had each other, as long as they could still hold on tightly to each other's hands, then every hardship could somehow be made bearable. Because happiness is not always about living a life without storms. Sometimes, it It is about having someone who chooses to stay by your side through every storm, to love you, and to keep walking with you. The story of Ly Tu Tien and Jack is perhaps just that simple. Not grand, not dramatic, but enough to make people believe that after all the hard days, life still keeps a little tenderness somewhere for those who keep trying, who know how to love, and who never stop holding on to each other as they move forward. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you also believe in simple but lasting love like the kind Ly Tu Tien and Jack share, don't forget to leave a like. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel so we can meet again in the next stories.